OpenAI just confirmed it. GPT-5 can scan your chats, flag you, and in some cases, call the police. This isn't a conspiracy theory or a leaked memo. It's in their own words, tucked into a blog post most people never saw. Every conversation now passes through automated filters, scanning for what they define as imminent threats of serious physical harm. If the system thinks you've crossed that line, your words don't just vanish, they're routed into a human review pipeline, and from there, they can be escalated to law enforcement. This isn't just a smarter AI, it's a live surveillance network operating inside the tool millions of people trust every day. Today, we're pulling apart the system Sam Altman built, a multi-layered monitoring pipeline that decides what you can say, what you can see, and when your words leave the chat window and land on a police desk. We'll break down how the scanning works, who's watching on the other side, and why the definitions of dangerous and safe are far more flexible than you think. By the end, you'll understand why this isn't just a feature update, it's the blueprint for the next decade of AI control, and it's already running in the background of every GPT-5 conversation. If you knew your AI assistant could hand your words to law enforcement, would you still use it? Not hypothetically, right now, GPT-5 is scanning millions of conversations every day. You don't get a pop-up warning, you don't get a chance to review what's been flagged, and you'll never know if a human reviewer has read your words unless the knock comes at your door. Drop your answer below. I want to see how many of you think the trade-off is worth it and how many would walk away if you knew the full scope of what's happening. When did ChatGPT stop being private? The answer? Quietly, in a policy update most users never read. In that update, OpenAI confirmed that every GPT-5 conversation is now scanned in real time by automated filters. The stated goal is to detect imminent threats of serious physical harm. But here's the thing, this isn't a targeted search triggered by suspicion. It's a blanket scan applied to everyone all the time. That means your late-night brainstorm, your private venting, even your jokes are passing through the same net. Think of GPT-5 as a customs checkpoint for your thoughts. Every prompt you type is inspected before it's answered. The system isn't just looking for obvious threats, it's pattern matching against a constantly updated list of high-risk signals. If it detects one, it doesn't just refuse to answer, it triggers the next layer of review. And this isn't occasional, it's constant. Every user, every conversation, every time. Imagine you're chatting with GPT-5 late at night. You type something, maybe a heated rant, maybe a dark joke, and somewhere in the background, the system's filters light up. Instantly, your conversation is routed into what OpenAI calls a specialized pipeline. On the other end isn't another AI. It's a small, trained human review team, authorized to read your words in full. They're not there to help you. They're there to decide if you've crossed a line. Here's where the control becomes power. If that human reviewer decides your words represent an imminent threat of serious physical harm, they can escalate your chat to law enforcement. No warning, no appeal, no chance to explain context before it leaves the private space you thought you were in. And while OpenAI says it won't report self-harm cases to police, those conversations are still scanned, flagged, and stored internally. OpenAI says it won't refer self-harm cases to law enforcement, a move framed as respecting privacy. But here's the catch. Those conversations are still scanned, flagged, and stored internally. The system still decides what you can and can't be told, and your words still pass through the same filters as everyone else's. In practice, The exception is just a different endpoint in the same pipeline. How can a company claim to protect privacy while scanning every word you type? GPT-5's monitoring system is essentially a social media-style moderation engine, but applied to your private conversations. There's no transparency about false positives, no clear appeal process, and no public data on how long flagged chats are kept. Sam Altman has even admitted that ChatGPT conversations don't have the same confidentiality protections as talking to a lawyer or therapist. Here's the part no one outside OpenAI can measure: how often the system gets it wrong. There's no public data on false positives, no way to know how many harmless conversations are flagged, reviewed, or stored. A sarcastic comment, a heated debate, even a fictional scenario could trigger the same pipeline as a real threat. And because the process is opaque, you'll never know if your words were quietly logged for safety.
In interviews, Sam Altman frames these controls as moral responsibility, the price of keeping AI safe. But listen closely and you'll hear something else: a vision where AI is deeply integrated into daily life, with built-in oversight as a permanent feature. GPT-5 isn't just a model, it's a system where safety and control are inseparable from the product itself.
If this all sounds familiar, it's because we've seen it before. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, they all built moderation systems that scan, flag, and escalate content. The difference is, GPT-5 applies that model to your private conversations. The same techniques that once shaped your newsfeed are now shaping your direct interactions with AI. And just like social media, the rules can change overnight without your consent. Here's where it gets even more unsettling. A flagged chat in one country can be reviewed and potentially reported from another. The specialized pipeline doesn't stop at national borders. A conversation in Oman could be escalated by a reviewer in San Francisco, then referred to law enforcement in London if the account is linked there. Jurisdiction lines blur when AI is the gatekeeper. Today, GPT-5's monitoring system is tuned to catch imminent threats of serious physical harm, but definitions are slippery. In the history of content moderation, what starts as a narrow focus often widens, from violence to harmful opinions, dangerous misinformation, or even politically sensitive topics. Once the infrastructure is in place, expanding the trigger list is just a matter of updating a policy file, and you won't get a notification when the rules change. OpenAI hasn't disclosed how long flagged conversations are stored, who can access them, or whether they can be shared beyond law enforcement. Sam Altman has admitted that ChatGPT chats don't have the same confidentiality as speaking to a lawyer or therapist. That means your flagged conversation could live on in internal archives long after you've forgotten it, and potentially be used to train future models. OpenAI's roadmap for GPT-5 includes connecting users directly to licensed professionals, therapists, counselors, even crisis responders, right inside the chat. On the surface, it sounds compassionate, but think about what that means. The same system scanning your words for threats will also be the one deciding when to hand you off to a human expert. That's a single choke point for your most sensitive data. And once those connections exist, they can be expanded to other approved services. Another planned feature? Letting GPT-5 message your family or friends if it thinks you're in crisis. The idea is to make it easier to reach out, but who decides what counts as a crisis? And what if the AI gets it wrong? A misread joke, a heated debate, or a fictional scenario could trigger a deeply personal alert to someone in your life. GPT-5 doesn't just follow one rule book. It enforces dozens, all at once. The system adapts its filters based on your location, applying local laws and cultural restrictions in real time. Ask the same question in New York, Amman, and Sydney, and you may get 3 different answers. Not because the AI thinks differently, but because it's enforcing different control regimes. This is algorithmic border control, invisible but absolute. What happens when company policy and AI behavior become the same thing? With GPT-5, there's no separation between rules and responses. The moderation layer is baked into the model itself. That means there's no independent appeals process, no neutral arbiter. If the AI says no, it's because the policy says no, and both are controlled by the same entity. History is clear. Once surveillance powers are introduced, they rarely shrink. Anti-terror laws became permanent. Emergency censorship became everyday moderation. GPT-5's monitoring system is no different. Today, it's imminent threats of serious physical harm. Tomorrow, the same infrastructure could be tuned to flag harmful opinions, unverified facts, or anything regulators decide is risky. And because the scanning is invisible, you won't know the scope has changed until you hit a wall. Picture the scene. Sam Altman on stage talking about GPT-5's breakthroughs. The crowd applauds the safety features, the integrations, the responsible AI. He smiles, not the smile of someone who's finished a project, but of someone who's just laid the foundation. He calls GPT-5 an integrated system where safety and control are inseparable from the product itself. And he makes it clear this is just the beginning.